Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you for listening. Thank you for downloading. And thank you for subscribing to the latest edition of the 12 Kyle podcast. I am your boy, 12 Kyle, and we're going back. How far back you say? We are going back to 1988, the greatest year in hip hop. Um, I love doing these throwback episodes where we, take a look at some of the older albums. But this one's going to be fun. Well, they're all fun, but this one's going to be dope. This one, I may not say much on this episode just because of the guest that we have in the building. My man, my mellow is back in the building. Eclectik is here. E, what up, man?
Yo, what's up, everybody? Happy to be here. It's me, Eclectik, eclectic podcast making dowlings.
This guy, and if you're watching on YouTube, my camera's up. His camera's not up because he has warrants. And
well, I have warrants, but that actually looks like me.
And this thing says official king of the South in his tagline.
Listen,
I probably should erase that, but I'm gonna let him live.
Listen, we had a draft of the the greatest. What was it? The South rappers.
The best Southern rappers.
And I ran away with it. I ran away with it because everyone knows when it comes to South hip hop, you think of me first.
Well, I mean,
the official.
You guys know, if you follow politics, you know that there was some improprieties in the last election. Same thing happened with his draft, but I mean, that's
as Sean said, politics as usual.
This guy, we're not even gonna get into that. I got you here, man. We're going back June 7th, 1988. Again, the greatest year in hip hop. On that day, one of the dopest hip hop groups dropped their debut album. EPMD released Strictly Business. And folks, I got to tell you, I mean, like, if I had done this podcast without this dude right here, I mean, he probably would have killed me. We've talked about EPMD before on this podcast, but we haven't. I think this. I want to say this is the first time we've actually done an album review. I think what you listeners will see is that we both love this album. But this album, man, brings back so many memories. So before we even get into it, let's go back to 1988, man. What, if you can remember, what do you remember about getting this album and your first couple of listens? Did you hear it with your friends? Did you hear it by yourself? Do you have a memory of purchasing it, or just, vibing in your room, listening to it? Because you were what, 7 years old when this shit came out?
I couldn't have been born.
He wasn't 7.
So anyway,
I was in the 8th grade, so he was in the 5th grade.
If you were a junior in college in 1988. Now listen, I have memories about the album, but what I initially remember is the singles. So You Got to Chill. Well, first I heard You're a Customer. And I thought You're a Customer was one of the most incredible songs I ever heard. And it was on a college radio program, WYSO, Yellow Springs. It's where Dave Chappelle is right now.
Okay.
So
that's in Ohio.
Yeah, with the crazy YO. So
I thought it was Gym City.
Come on, man. The Gym City, man. Shouts to the Gym City, the DYT.
Dayton, Ohio, for those of you who
funk.
don't know.
Home of the funk.
Definitely home of the funk.
But yo, customer, that sample, the time keeps on slipping. Starts off with neck, knack, patty whack, give a dog a bone. Yo, don't give him nothing. So the thing was, at that point, no one, especially rap groups,
Mm-hmm.
sounded like that.
Nobody.
And no one was using that sample. The EPMD, you'll find, were the first to use a lot of these samples. It's like they flipped a switch and opened up, like basically turned it into, oh shit, you can do that
Mm-hmm.
to hip hop. Like before, it was like the same couple of James Brown breaks and
Right.
some La Freak, but um, so we thought that song was crazy. I'm gonna speed this up, and then
No, go ahead. Take your time.
one day, I'm riding with my mother going somewhere. We stopped on the stop sign, and it was some people playing fucking "You Got to Chill," and
Uh-oh.
we thought, well, I thought that it was more bounce because again, DYT, home of the funk, Roger
Right.
Troutman Studio was up the street from my house. Man, we know about this.
Shout out to Roger.
And then, but people are rhyming, and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
wait, what is? I wanted to jump out the car. See, and it's hard to express this to people who now have heard this and heard all kinds of music. When I am trying to tell you, this is the first time someone used this sample
Mm-hmm.
for rhyming. At this point, rhyming wasn't even that. It you only had, like, seriously, as far as popular groups, you probably only had like 5 rap groups.
If that.
You had Run DMC, you had the Beastie Boys, you had Houdini, you had
Houdini,
the
Fat
Fat
Boys.
Boys,
Yeah.
and
That's about it.
Grandmaster Flash and them, if you want to count them.
Not really, but okay.
I mean,
So that was it.
yeah. So yeah, you
Because
didn't.
was NW was it?
NWA wasn't until
They,
'88.
oh yeah, they were bubbling, so they're about to come out.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, this is before NWA.
Mm-hmm.
But so yeah, you didn't have that many rap groups, period.
Mm-hmm.
And so they came out, and it's just like, wow. And the way that they were rhyming wasn't like any of those groups. The rhyme patterns, they're going, and that's one of the people don't give EPMD.
Mm-hmm.
They just deserves, because the way that they rhyme and go back and forth, they were really the first people to do that. Run DMC was with the ha, the he, the ha,
Yeah.
the ha, the ha, the ha, the ha, the ha, the ha. That, I mean, that was it. The Beastie Boys. I'm a this, and I'm a this, that. And fucking Houdini never went back and forth. They just took their verses.
Mm-hmm.
And the Fat Boys did kind of what Run DMC did, because they, learned from Curtis Blow and shit. So when EPMD was just, it was ridiculous. Also, they were rhyming about things that nobody else rhymed about, and they were cocky. And stay awake and watch the show I tape, because right now I'm about to shake and bake. My man was using his real name. Nobody used their real name.
Facts.
He's like
Eric Sermon.
Yeah, he's like, I'm Eric Sermon. Like, what? And he's like, yeah, and I'm Parrish Smith. Like, what? Huh? Oh, yeah. So y'all just y'all.
Yeah, because at the time we didn't know. I knew Run, but I didn't know Run's real name. I didn't know DMC's real name. But this was Eric Sermon and Parrish Smith.
Yeah, and this was the good old days, back when people thought Eric B was Rakim and Rakim was Eric B, and they would spell PMD's name PMDEE or PMD, or they EPMDE. They didn't know anything. It was right, but it was a great time in '88. Well, '87 going into '88.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, I agree. I agree 1,000%. It was I remember I didn't buy the tape initially. My boy Jay Fresh, shout out to Jay Fresh. He bought the tape and he let me cop a dub. And the thing that stood out to me was, to your point, what you just said, like the way that they rhymed, was different. Now, at that particular time, again, we're talking 1988. My favorite group at the time was Run DMC, right? And so I had something to kind of measure. And I couldn't say that these dudes were better than Run DMC, but they were just so much different. And they were very cocky, very arrogant, but very confident at the same time in what they were rhyming about. And the vibe was just crazy. And it was like, they weren't street dudes, but they had a street edge to them. And we wasn't even on the street stuff, but it was just like, that's the thing that kind of attracted me to them. Like, they were just in your face and they could rhyme.
And you know what else about that? And I don't want to cut you off completely.
No, go ahead.
Above all of that, unlike Houdini and Run DMC, and they portrayed cool.
Yes.
They were just cool. They were like Rakim cool, like and people would compare them. They'd say, "Hey, how we sound like the R, and our music was whack," which is an oxymoron, by the way. You can't sound like the R and your music be whack. But the reason why that was a statement is because if you sounded like somebody, you was automatically whack because you was biting. And boy, there was a sign on the door, no biting allowed.
No biting allowed.
But they were so cool. What they were doing was effortless. They would just be like, they would rhyme, and like Run DMC would be hype.
Yes.
We're better than ever, forever, together. and he's like, I have the capability to rhyme and chill, coax attacks of C's and tend to act ill. It's like a dig 'em smack. You smack me and I'll smack you back. Which was a Rakim diss, by the way.
Yes, indeed.
A Rakim diss. That is crazy.
On the first album. And that's the thing, like, and I'm glad you said that, because that's exactly who they were. They were like cool, and even if you didn't know anything about them, if you saw the video and you didn't even hear the album, if you saw the Strictly Business video, you'd be like, yo, who is that? Because like they looked like rap stars.
Shout out to MC Sheriff.
And so, I mean, I was hooked. And I literally, I mean, it took me a couple of weeks to get my allowance up to go buy the album, but that was one of the few albums that, and I'm sure you remember this, E, where you might get a dub and then like later on you be like, man, I fucks with them, so I gotta go buy this album. And we didn't really do that for everybody, because times is hard. I mean, $8 tapes was $8 tapes, and $8 is a lot of money when you ain't got no job.
It was a thing. It was like some albums. She was like, I have to have this cover art. I gotta have the inside. I gotta read this, because when you get a dub, no one's giving you the cover to check it out or anything. So it's like, damn, I want to know more about them. I gotta look at this thing. And when they drop, and there's the thing, you got to think about all the people that were out, and then all of a sudden, these two dudes show up with fisherman buckets on and gold ropes and just like some fly, different kind of clothes, because Run DMC was denim jacket, jeans, gold ropes, Godfather hats.
Yep.
Houdini was on some R&B pop star shit. Ecstasy had on a Zorro fedora and no sleeves, leather pants. And, Fat Boys was fat.
Right.
Beastie Boys was, and so these dudes just like, fisherman hats, rings, fucking ropes, some Guess jeans.
That's it.
It's just like, they so cool. And then they rhyming like they cool. And then they told us we had to chill and did a video in the Ice Factory.
Yeah, man. I think, to your point, like, I think you had to, because if you didn't, like you said, if you didn't get the album, then, if you got a dub, you didn't want to be out of the loop. And if you had a dub, you couldn't read the liner notes. So when your boys came to school and said, "Hey man, did you see they said such and such and such?" Because see, and a lot of times, and he remembers this, a lot of times in these albums, not only if you got the tape or the actual album, the vinyl, the words to the songs were in that album or in that tape. So you could learn the music a lot faster. And so you didn't want to just hang on to a dub. So I distinctly remember, getting a dub from my boy Jay Fresh. And then maybe, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks later, I actually went and bought the album. But again, man, an incredible album. It was one that I just remember being just hooked. Like, again, we're learning who EPMD is, just through word of mouth, because there was no promo tour, there was no rollout, there was no nothing. This album dropped, and the thing that I remember, one of the things that stands out about this album was I just remember that all of my friends had it. And this was one of the first albums that I can remember that every one of my partners had it. Like, there was nobody, because everybody didn't get every album, and because when NWA came out, everybody didn't get NWA because everybody wasn't into it. Everybody didn't get PE when it came out, when It Takes a Nation came out. But this album was one of the few albums from 1988 that I can remember of my 7-man crew. Everybody had the tape. Everybody. So yeah, June 7th, 1988. Again, the greatest year in hip hop. Let's go back and let's talk about it, man. Before we even break down these tracks, man, the production. You mentioned it a little earlier, and I think it goes without saying, but this was one of the few albums where Eric Sermon would actually sample another song that's on the album. Like, that rarely happened. And we didn't know it, and we didn't realize it until like later, but like they would either sample or maybe talk about something that was in another song, and you're like, oh shit, okay, now I see the connection. What did you make of the production of this album?
The production was crazy because, like I said, it was unlike anything before. They used a lot of tracks that no one used before.
Mm-hmm.
They looped them differently, and yeah, the fact that EPMD, I don't recall anybody else using their own songs as samples.
No,
Like,
man.
you would hear something, and then 3 songs later, they're scratching that song. It's crazy. Also, the reason to me,
Mm-hmm.
the reason why it sounded so dope and why they sounded so differently
Mm-hmm.
is they would rhyme in the same booth
Yes.
together at the same time. Like, everybody else would go in to do their part and leave, run to go do his part and leave, or they would be in separate booths, but they're right there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's the other thing, and which is leads into some way later that's we're not going to talk about today. But the thing about EPMD, what also stood them apart, that made them sound so dope, is they sounded like friends, like brothers, like they hung out every day, like they got each other's like they were super cool boys,
1,000.
not just co-workers, and not the groups, the label put them
Put them
together, or and like you knew that Run and DMC mess with each other, but you could see them after the show or after the thing, they go their separate ways. But it seemed like EPMD would leave the studio and one of them would be in the passenger seat. And they just ride out together, or they go kick it together. And you can hear that in music.
In the music, yep, hands down. And it's funny because it's funny you mention that, because like another group from that era, the Ghetto Boys, which I think is a dope and one of my favorite groups of that particular time frame. like you mentioned, to your point, the Ghetto Boys were put together. There were three different dudes from, I want to say, three different sections of Houston, and the label kind of put them together. Like prior to them making their first album, they had never hung out together. But Eric and Parrish, EPMD sounded like two dudes that probably like their mothers were best friends or something like that. Like they known each other since they were 4 or 5 years old. That's how cohesive they sound together in the studio. The production was crazy. And I think one thing that I have a kind of long-standing beef with is that when people of today, when they mention hip-hop producers, people don't necessarily thought Eric Sermon, and I think they should. Like where you rank him in your top 5, top 20, top 15, whatever the case, but I think when you look at his body of work on the hip hop side and R&B side, but even when you go back to, these early EPMD albums, I mean, the stuff that he was doing, and keep in mind, like we didn't have crazy technology at that particular time. So in my opinion, I think from a production standpoint, I rank Eric Sermon a lot higher than probably some of your favorite producers because he gave us a bunch of different sounds and he had minimal, I don't want to say minimal, but he didn't have the same equipment, if you will, that everybody else had. I mean, I don't know how many times you could sample James Brown or, Parliament, but Eric Sermon has done it. And I mean, he's done it not just for him, the rest of the hit squad from Keith Murray to Redman to everybody in between. And I think E Double just, starting with this album, I think you got to give him his props.
Yeah. One of the funniest thing is I'm a huge Eric Sermon fan. I mean, everyone knows, but he sampled Dance Floor by Zapp and Roger Troutman on just about every album he's ever been on, but he always does it differently. But you can hear like, man, this guy's amazing. But the production, a lot of funk, a lot of James. I mean, it's funk. So, but it's just samples that people never. It's what they did does not get enough credit. No. It's all I can say. I mean, Eric Clapton, I Shot the Sheriff. What was the other joint they did? They used ZZ Top's Cheap Sunglasses, the Steve Miller's Fly Like an Eagle, Jungle Boogie.
Come on, man. Come on, man.
Oh man. So then I mean, we're gonna get to
it. Yeah, we can get into the tracks, man. This album, again, June 7th, 1988, critically acclaimed. Got the vaunted 5 mics in the source, and we'll talk about that a little later. But this album is only 45 minutes, and they don't waste any time. They don't waste any time.
Strictly Business. Now listen, this is 88. This is back when people didn't talk about sales. No one went platinum.
No. Man, to this day, I don't know how much that album sold.
No one went platinum.
No.
But Strictly Business, EPMD, 88, went gold in 30 days.
It did.
Dropped the album Strictly Business and you thought we were 30 days later.
P went gold.
That's crazy for 88.
Yeah.
And a brand new group that no one knew about.
No, and they're not coming in on the heels of a crew.
They wasn't even coming in from a popular borough.
No.
They came from Long Island.
And you know what's funny? If I had not gone to Long Island in the summer of 1988, I would not have known where Long Island was. And the only reason why I went to Long Island was my uncle got married that summer, and he got married in on Long Island. That's the only reason why I knew where it was. I just assumed they was from New York. Yeah, I knew they weren't from the South. But yeah, man, crazy. Um, so track one kicks off the album. It is the title track to the album, Strictly Business. As I mentioned a little earlier, there was a video for it, and the video was so dope. He talked to him about this song, man.
Well, definitely go and seek out the video with MC Sheriff and my man dying off of scratched gunshots.
Scratched gunshots.
Oh my God! And shout outs to DJ Caleb Balls. Their first DJ, their DJ on this album. He actually got to talk in the video. But this, don't get too close because you might get shot. This song is crazy, and the sample ridiculous. Try to answer to the master and the MC Rap God is no joke. See, listen again. MC Rap God is no joke. People be putting some subtle disses, on, but the thing is, and I should probably sample like this entire album for my podcast. Just don't sleep on the E, but this started off with their rhyming like different stuff to make you wiggle and jiggle like gelatin. Like I'll pull on like a 44 Magnum, instant free stuff, look and listen and try to imagine it's traveling the speed of light. But I love EPMD. But you say you wake up like Muttley, the little dog that laugh on
the cartoons.
Yeah. Who is dropping Muttley references in hip hop? Rhyme flow, good to go. After the show, I'll pull your whole boy. And here's and to show you how things were back then. You sniff blow? Hell no. I got my whole life ahead of me. No time to be sniffing. And my parents find out.
Then they start riffing.
So I stay A-OK because I'm the E. The R-I-C-K. Yo, he was worried about his parents, man. His parents, he not gonna fucking sniff the shit as well as his parents find out. Like, you crazy? Fast forward to now. Everybody do some drugs, please.
Everybody's on Percocets and drinking lean and smoking herbs and all kind of shit. Yeah, man, I love this joint. Once the video came out, I loved it even more. This, I really don't have much more to add. It was just the thing that I can say about this particular track. This is the perfect lead-off track for this album, and I want to impress upon people that when you particularly if you haven't heard it in a while or you haven't heard it at all, do yourself a favor and go listen to it after you finish listening to this episode. But the thing that always stood out to me was like, to that point, we had not seen MCs together rap like this. Because to what he said earlier I think is a very key point. Run DMC had a different style, and their style was like in your face, and it was no, I guess the best way I can put it, like Run DMC rapped to the people. Eric and Parrish rapped to each other and then rapped to us, if that makes sense. And you felt it. So that was one of the things that I think that even at the time I didn't really know, because again, when this album comes out in 1988, I want to say a freshman in high school. So I'm not knowing this, but it's something that I pick up on later. And this is one of those albums I think is so dope that when you listen to it 35 years later, you're still going to be able to pick up something from this album. But the
I
title
mean,
track
shit.
is out of here.
You listen to Nostradamus. That's the sample.
There you go. It's right there. It's right there. It is right there. Then we get to track 2. I'm housing. Love this joint, man. What'd you think about I'm housing?
I love these joints because they just introduce new slang, just like I'm housing. I don't know what housing is. And then I listen to them like, oh shit. I'm cooling on the scene like a horse in a stable. A brother got ill and tried to snatch the fat cable. I stepped back like it wasn't no thing, punched him in the jaw with the fat gold ring. Hey man.
Come on, man.
Also, this is another one of those joints where I'll say in my day-to-day life, I'll quote like if someone got shot down by a girl, or if someone did something that was kind of stupid, I use the Eric Sermon from this song. What a way to go out like a sucker. Oh man,
you stupid.
I used to always do that. People like, yo, go talk to somebody. What a way to go out like a sucker. But I'm on track like a Long Island train conductor.
Listen, the thing that I love about this album is something that you just mentioned. Like, we picked up slang because, again, he's in Ohio. I'm in South Carolina. Nobody knew what housing was. And so, like, after this album comes out, like, housing becomes a slang for us. Oh, man, I housed that joint. What'd you house? Yep. Man, I housed them Jordans. So that could either mean you bought them or that could mean you stole them. You know what I'm saying? So, like, it was, I love that about that era of hip hop, because like it was so universal and it was so inclusive as to, you know, bringing people in on what it was you were doing. I love this song, man. This song, I probably shouldn't tell this story, but I'm gonna tell it anyway. We had a school dance and the DJ played this song. And I remember, I'll never forget, I was dancing with this girl and she had a Jericho, don't laugh. And so I'm dancing with this girl and this song comes on and then all you hear is, oh, so it's doom, 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 doom. And I'm dancing, I'm jamming, and then I feel a kick. Somebody kicked me. And so I didn't pay any attention, so I'm jamming, and somebody kicked me again. I look over to my right, my boy Travis is dancing next to me, and every like fourth beat, he's moving, he's throwing his foot and he's kicking me. And I'm like, yo, why are you kicking me? He's like, oh, my bad. This is my song. Oh. And so like we still laugh about this to this day, man. That's like it's always etched in my memory of him. He was just jamming so hard, and he was off rhythm too, by the way. And he's black. He didn't have any rhythm, but he was dancing and he just kept kicking me. But yeah, man, I love this song, man. This is this flows with this album. Then we get to track 3. It slows down a little bit, but there's a particular reason why. It's because the song is funky. Track number 3, Let the Funk Flow. E, what you got on that one?
I mean, this is the one. This is this is the Nostradamus by Nas. This is,
yep.
Danger by Keith Murray used this shit. It starts off with the Beastie Boys sample from Slow and Low. So let it flow. And they just chilling, relax while attack. So you could just max. It really doesn't matter. Just stay the hell back. And you get some references in here. You get I got my girls to be pumping just like Getty. Use the same fuel as Mario
Mario
Andretti.
Andretti.
Uh, um, he said, "It's no time to slip." Because when it's time for some action, check on the Michael Jackson, do a spin and grab my nuts and start taxing. Said he do a spin and grab his
Grab my
nuts.
nuts.
Hey man, EPMD is fucking great, man.
Listen, that line right there was so fucking dope. It sounds simple right now, but it was so dope back then. Do a spin, grab my nuts like like Michael Jackson, because that's what Mike was doing back then.
That's exactly what it's doing. But man, they fucking listen to heavy metal, hardcore, rock and roll. Drink a 6-pack, maybe Miller or Stroll. No one has mentioned Stroll in a rap song.
Nobody.
Stroll. Hey man. I love it. I love it. Also because, ladies and gentlemen, this is Eclectic talking to you.
Mm-hmm.
And on the interwebs, I may go by E.
Mm-hmm.
And this is another one of those things that I've always said. I've put in the podcast a couple of times. Come from this song. I hear the girls out there saying E is hot. That only shows you what juice I got. And if you don't like me and you're yelling boo, there's nothing wrong with me. There's something wrong with you. Like,
yes.
So let the funk flow.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, that line right there had me. It always made me laugh, man, because like again, you just didn't have people rhyming like this at this particular time. And nobody up until this point is rhyming like that. And, again, I think people understand and realize the impact that EPMD had, not just on other rap groups, but just rap in general. But you got to give them their props. They while they did not have the commercial appeal that, of Run DMC, they blazed a lot of trails. And this album definitely set forth a lot of that stuff that they did. Then the quintessential track 4, my favorite track on the album. You got to chill.
I mean, this is top 10 hip hop song ever created.
Mm-hmm.
When this came, no one dislikes this song.
Nobody.
There's a lot of hip hop classics. There's a lot of songs that's made that people, you're like, oh, no, that's cool. I have never encountered anyone who does not look. Not only does not like this song, you react to this song. When this song comes on, you don't just be like, oh yeah, something's moving. Something on your shoulder got to start going, your larynx, something got to go.
You got to Steve Martin.
Oh my God, this song, when this song came out, man, we didn't know what it's like. You don't know what to do with yourself. It's like, relax your mind, let your conscience be free, and get down to the sounds of EPMD. Like, I guess he said so. So I guess I'm about to get down to the sounds.
Yeah, but if you're tired, go take a nap.
Yeah. Listen, these were like this whole song is full of classic lines. Then go take a nap or stay awake and watch the show I take, because right now I'm about to shake
and bake.
Oh,
man, listen, this joint. Like I said, it's my favorite song on the album, my favorite EPMD song. I mean, it brings back so many memories. And then, I know you remember this. When the video came out,
shout out to Steezo.
Steezo the Fly Negro. Rest in peace, Steezo. When the video came out, it was a rap. I mean, like, the video alone made you want to get this album. I mean, it was just that dope. And I mean, like, yeah, it brings back so many memories, man. One of, like I said, my favorite song on the album. It is a quintessential EPMD song. Is, you know, where you want to put it in hip hop history as far as, you know, singles. It's up there. Love that joint.
Another joint that I use on the podcast and the sample because of E, like Zorro. I mark an E on your back. That's in the intro. I mean, listen, this. Oh
so many
God.
quotables.
I keep their hands clapping, fingers snapping, feet tapping. When it's time to roll, Uzi Patrol is packing. Whew.
Yeah, man. This joint goes. And it still goes to this day. I mean, you guys hear the excitement in our voices 35 years later.
And I'm gonna tell you.
Okay.
I'm gonna tell you because it's relevant to this particular thing. Yada yada yada. EPMD broke up.
They did.
They broke up. This is during the mixtape era, the real mixtape era, when, you know, Clue and Doo-Wop, not Lil Wayne just dropped the mixtape and it's just all Lil Wayne songs. That's
the Carter 17.
Yeah, no, with the actual mixtape era. And I went and copped the mix. And this is the best thing about the mixtape era. You would go and they'd be like, nah, it's a new Green Lantern, or it's a new, you know, Ron G. I'm like, all right, well, shit, $10 here.
Yep.
Boom. Go and pop it in the whip and just drive. And that's what I did one day. And I put the joint in. I'm driving. I remember exactly where I was at. I was right by fucking this donut spot on Salem Avenue in Gem City. Okay. Anyway, stop light. And it was just like, da 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 da. More bounce came on. And I was like, oh shit, somebody done sampled EPMD. And it was Eric Sermon. I was like, oh shit, he redoing the joint. And so he was like, relax your mind. I was like, oh shit, all right, cool. And so I was like, oh, this is dope. Taking me back to the 88. I was like, oh shit, it's dope that he redid this. And then it was like, he stopped, and then it was like, well, my name is P. He's like, I'm PMD. I was like, I screamed like it was roaches and rats in my car. And PMD was rapping with Eric Sermon over the You Gots to Chill beat in 90, whatever the fuck.
Yep.
I was legit crying.
Wow.
I had to stop. I was like, yo, I pulled over to just listen to the rest of the song. I wasn't going to be able to fucking react. That was one of the greatest times ever. It was no announcement that they were back together.
No. And it was a shock that they had broken up.
Yeah. But the fact that it was called You Gots to Chill, wasn't You Gots to Chill 97.
97, yep.
And I didn't read the tape that it said. I don't even think it said it was on there. You was just listening, and it scratched it in. I was just like, hey man, that shit was incredible. But that is also the impact that song and the group had on hip hop. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, man. Then you get to track 5. It's My Thing. What you got on that
one? Man, oh, such a great song. Yeah, people got to start giving these guys their. Anyway, the fact that look at the songs that you wouldn't have had if it wasn't for this. But this song, we never heard this sample before, and this sample blew the hell up. But MCs out there, you better stay clear. EPMD is a world premiere. From New York, straight talk, America's best, cold, wild, and Long Island is where that's when I found out that they were in Long Island. and to their credit, like we said before, as you get into the song, if you bite a line, Roy Van, the more you bite, your body gets hot. Don't get too close because you might get shot. That's what they scratched in the first song. They made this song. They made this song and went back and scratched that. That's fucking
exactly.
Who does that?
Nobody.
I mean, and then when you listen to it, when you go back and listen to Strictly Business, you will hear the beat of this, and before the scratch, I'm like the dude, and don't get too good. So it's literally that scratch. It wasn't them saying it again. That was amazing to me back then. Knowing that my rhyme like a poisonous rat, don't play dumb, boy. You're smarter than that. They were so cool. I'm telling you now, boy, you ain't Jack talking much junk like Mr. T got your back, but he's not. So don't act cute, because if you do, you're in a hot pursuit. Mr. T has your back.
Mr. T, yeah, because Mr. T was one of the hardest men on planet Earth back then.
Oh man,
I love that joint, man. I love this joint. I mean, it I don't want to use the word perfect. It is masterfully sequenced, this album.
Oh, and just even the verses are. In the beginning, you knew you wasn't winning. Now you feel ashamed. Your head starts bending. Kind of upset, boy. I understand. You lost again. I won. Goddamn.
Yeah, man. I mean, it goes on and on. Next track, track 6. I know you got a story to tell about this one. You're a Customer. Tell the people about You're a Customer.
Damn. I'm still thinking of this one thing. Dude fucking referenced the Milky Way to be able to help you work. You rest in place.
Yeah.
It was just cold clocking to the party and Drew, and then they tapped me on the shoulder and said, "This bud's for you."
This bud's for you.
All right. Anyway, You're a Customer was one. The sample's crazy. I believe this was I don't know, maybe the third single. Could have been. It was either the first or the third. I know what the second was.
It's My Thing was the first single. I'm Housing was the second single. You Got to Chill was third single, and Strictly Business fourth single.
Okay. Your Customer is what I heard on a not a single, a 12-inch. But anyway, L sample. No one's used that until them. You had Cheap Sunglasses, but it's the Fly Like the Eagle by the Steve Miller's band. That's the shit. And of course, Jungle Boogie again. But the way that they were rhyming so cool and so, to be the E-double-E over and over. You're intrigued by the way I do my thing. Do what? Pick up the mic hot and make it so. PFD would just be like, nah, do what? What was the other joint that he said in there? Oh, this is the classic.
Yeah.
The classic on here. When I walk through the crowd, I can see heads turning. I hear voices saying, that's Eric Sermon. Not only from the women, but from the men. You know what? Feels good, my friend. You guys are fucking incredible, man. I am really being a fanboy right now, man.
As you should. I mean, it's an incredible album. It's an incredible album.
My eyes closed like Steve Austin. I got you in the square. If you didn't know what that meant, if you never watched the $1 Million, people were like, "Oh, Stone Cold," not Stone Cold Steve Austin, the original Steve Austin.
And I mean, we would be remiss if we didn't tell you how the song started.
Oh,
come on, man! Knick knack, paddywhack, give a dog a bone.
Yo, don't give them nothing but a microphone. And then the next album, they got a song called Knick Knack, Paddywhack.
Exactly. That's what they did. I mean, like, again, definitely ahead of their time as far as production, rhyme styles, rhyme patterns. And again, this is a group in 1988.
You said you see me jamming at New York Tech. You got one right, fella. You deserve a check. How did you know? You must have been jogging.
And you didn't want to be jogging back then.
Here's a card, and on the back is my fan club digits.
Yes, yes. Then we get to track 7, the Steve Martin. Now, folks, this song was dedicated to Steve Martin, the actor. He was in a movie called The Jerk. I want to say The Jerk came out in like 77, 78. But the Steve Martin was an actual dance. And I love this joint, man. I still, when it comes on, I got to do the Steve, man. What you got on this one?
The dope thing about this is, one, this is back when people you had a dance. You had the Bismarck, you had the Heavy D Shake, yeah, and you had the Pee Wee dance.
Pee Wee dance, yep.
And this song sampled the Pee Wee Herman dance. So in the beginning of the Pee Wee Herman dance is "Get Busy, Y'all." And in the beginning of this is they keep scratching to "Get Busy" from Joski Love. Shouts to Joski Love. But
Joski.
And this is a tribute to them. They made a song about their dance, but it was so laid back. They made their dance sound that much cooler. Like, it was just like, yeah, you do it like this. It's the Steve. Get him,
Steve.
Hey, man, don't tell me to get him, man. All the dancers out there trying to freak on the floor. When they see me do the Martin, they try
the Martin.
They called it the Martin.
The Martin.
Sway your arms around your back, then across your chest. Do the crazy leg sweep from right to left. It's the Steve. Get him, Steve. No, hold on. No, better than that. Like this.
Don't tell me like this.
Oh my God.
Listen. Love this joint. You gotta hear this song if you haven't heard this song. I know we're waxing poetic right now. We're taking a deep dive down memory lane, but this joint is so dope, man. Again, I want to impress upon it, particularly for the people who weren't around in 1988. Nobody made this type of stuff, because for as dope as Run DMC is, Run DMC didn't dance. They didn't have dancers. They weren't even encouraging you to dance. No. They wanted to give it to you raw, and that was it. And I love Run DMC. Heavy D like you said, Heavy D had the Heavy D shake. He's a big guy who could move. You know what I'm saying? Houdini. They had little steps and stuff. But this was and keep in mind, this is a song on their debut album. This isn't their 4th or 5th album. This is their debut album. And to say, okay, we got 10 tracks, right? We got 10 tracks, but we're going to give one song and dedicate this song to a dance. That is thinking about it as far as like selling an album. That's very risky. It might not mean much now, but back then that was a very risky move, and it paid off because the dance was very popular, still popular to this day. And I mean, Steezo was doing this. If you saw EPMD in concert, you saw Steezo, the Fly Negro, doing the Steve Martin, and I mean, it was dope. The next track, get off the get off the bandwagon. It's funny because, and the reason why I started laughing is because, like, I just remember kids at my school would say, man, get off the bandwagon or get off the jock. Like that, like if you were telling somebody to get off something, like that was like the thing to tell people back in the day.
Yeah. You couldn't be on anything. you had to get off of it.
Get off the bandwagon. What you got on that one, man?
Get off my jammy. Listen, I love this song. I think this was probably my introduction to the word bandwagon. But I just like the get off the and the
come on, man.
And so first they talking to each other before the song even starts. So like, yo, what up, B double? A lot
Mm-hmm.
of customers try to get paid off what we made. Because once they dropped fucking You Got to Chill, everybody started trying to sample some other shit like
Mm-hmm.
that. It was like, nah, man, you better get a grip on them lips and get off the.
And
And
that's the
what's
funny thing because, like, at that particular time, like, this is their first album.
mm-hmm.
So they're talking like, man, people jocking us. And looking back on it now, you're like, were people really jocking? But they
What,
weren't.
what,
It's
but
crazy.
off the strength of the You Got to Chill
Mm-hmm.
dropping
Mm-hmm.
and people, but yeah, but to have it on your album, the Hardy Boy Mystery. Uh, what was it said if you post book no it said um time to go and strike and demonstrate on a foe that does not NO, that if you push my card, I'm going to flow toe to toe, blow to blow without no H2O. Hey yo, you want a battle? I'm
I'm
good to
good to
G-O.
Go. Get
Get
off the
off the
band. Get off.
I love that. This ain't a blast from the past, it's a boomer from the future. Feel free to scream ho or yo if it suits you.
Man, listen. Again, ahead of their time. Duos, trios, and rap weren't rapping like this.
I knew it was the sucker with the Jackson 5 afro.
Listen,
Oh man, that was
great
great.
memories, man. Great memories. Then we get to the next track, which is just scratching. Track number 9, DJ Caleb Boss. You mentioned him a little earlier. He was EPMD's original DJ. It's just scratching, man. I know you're not a fan of Chinese arithmetic on
I'm
Paid
not.
in Full.
This is better than Chinese arithmetic.
Is it really?
I'm going to tell you 2 reasons why.
Okay, I'm listening. I'm all ears.
All right. Reason 1, the most important reason,
Okay.
way shorter. Way,
This track
it
is
has
4 minutes and 31 seconds.
if it's not shorter, it sounds shorter. Chinese
Okay.
arithmetic sound like I don't know. Sound like I don't know a couple hours.
Stop it. Go ahead. And what else?
And it has like the actual samples like got like words and stuff in
Mm-hmm.
it, so you could just like the little audio too. And the chick, are you falling in love? What word? Huh. Ha. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
at least I can react to this. That Chinese arithmetic with the water dropping and it sound like he scouring fucking pans. No, we're not doing that. We're not doing the Chinese arithmetic.
Okay. I just wanted to get your opinion. Um, I can't say this is a skip. I listened to it. Um,
If you listen to Chinese arithmetic and
I knew you was
Eric
gonna
B
say
is
that.
on the cut, you listening to this? Stop that.
Um, but nah, this is cool. It is my least favorite, but it's still a dope
Of
track.
course, no, it's everybody's
Um,
least favorite. No,
yeah, it is.
we're not gonna
But
we're not gonna reinvent history.
yeah, and and again, that's still the thing. Like when you think about it, because again, you're basically saying, okay, well, hey, we just gave a song for a dance, and now we're going to take this song. And this song just strictly for this is the one for the DJ. Here, go get busy, and and they did that. And again, it still flows within the album, so I don't have any beef with this song at all. And then we get to the final track, track 10, Jane. Oh, what a nice name.
It's one thing.
Where Eric and Parrish have a couple of stories about a young lady named Jane from around the way. Um, I can't. I'm trying to think. I think you did this on your podcast.
Of course, I did. I
Okay.
did the entire saga.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You're right. Because you made it one.
Yeah, I did the entire thing.
Okay. So yeah, tell folks about Jane, man. Love
So
this joint.
so this is another thing. This isn't EPMD does not get their props. They on their first album
Mm-hmm.
came up with a song about a girl that did them so bad they could not finish Eric could not finish the album without dissing her.
Nope.
And this happened in 86 to them. But the fact that they did this and every album they made after that, they did a sequel to it. They have a whole saga about this woman. Now, some of this stuff, I do not understand what this woman was up to. I don't understand what Eric got the short end of the stick on just about every story. Yet he is the reason why this story exists.
This is true.
Jane is a motherfucker. But anyway, for this particular installment, this is when Eric was out late and he was tired. He put the alarm on, and the alarm has a hip hop song, and then all of a sudden the alarm comes on. PMD is at his door, and he has a girl that wants to smash, but it's Eric has the girl that wants to smash. So I guess she was already over there, and so PMD.
It's so much stuff going on.
So he asked PMD to chill with the girl because she brought a girl with her. All right, listen. All right, Eric has a girl. The girl brought a friend. The girl wants to smash Eric, but she brought a friend. He gets PMD to chill with the girl to play the wingman so he can smash the girl. He's describing the friend to him, said that she's fly, haircut like Anita Baker. I mean, now back then, the Anita Baker cut was...
Come on, man.
Was something serious.
And, looked up and down.
Hey, listen, you know what Ill Now Scratch said. Come on. You know what Ill Now say.
Man.
I like your flow, yo. Did I say, oh no, and get the hit in 101 like a solo? I think that is it ain't no fun if my homie Mr. Raspy Scratch can't have none.
Man.
Come on,
I don't even know why I said that. Why did I even say that?
Anyway, so for those you play at home, you saying, I'll take it.
Right.
She came in, and so she introduces herself. And PMD's like, oh, that's a great name. Remind me of someone in high school. And then, so Jane walked around him, rubbed on his back, and started moaning and said, yo, let's go fuck. So this is the problem. So he said he went to his room, but I thought they was over Eric's house, and I don't think they lived together. So how did he go to his room? But so he went to the room, the smash, and she was riding, and he was smashing till 3 a.m. And then the alarm came on playing "You're a Customer," and she left him a note and said that the next time he had to be bigger, stronger, and much faster. Now here's the problem. One of those he has no control over.
Facts.
And another of them, you use in a hurry. I mean, most people don't want it much faster.
No. Take your time, young man.
So, but the problem here is Eric had to diss her, but he ain't had nothing to do with it because P smashed and she left him the note. So why is Eric pissed? I guess he didn't get a verse about the chick that brought Jane with her.
Listen.
But regardless of all of that, one thing, this song's incredible. The story is dope. They flipped the Mary Jane sample for the song called Jane, and it had nothing to do with marijuana.
Nothing.
This is incredible. It's incredible.
I love it, man. I love it. This joint And when you broke, I like the fact that you broke it down on your podcast because, and I like the fact that you put them all together because it would probably have been a little bit more difficult to try to separate all of them.
Yeah.
But this is the initial song for the Jane series, and I just thought it was brilliant that you got all of these bars, this whole album. Again, the album's 45 minutes long, and you get to the last song, and E says, "No, man, before we wrap, I gotta diss this chick." And then they come with this story, and and they made it sound so believable. Like I just remember, like, and I'm pretty sure E, you probably did the same thing with your homeboys, like wondering if Jane was a real person, if this is something that really happened.
Well,
Like,
yeah.
was she somebody in the industry? Like, we thought we had. I don't want to say arguments, but we had discussions about stuff like this.
Because this goes back into what we were saying earlier. Songs like this is, and honestly, if I'm being honest, maybe the Fat Boys a little bit, but this is one of the first albums or groups that took you out of we're making an album because they're like, yeah, I'm about to go take this. We finished with the joint. I'm about to take it up to Leon Willis, see what they say. Yeah, well, hold on, man. We ain't bringing nothing to a close. So it's not like, hey, there's another song for no. Hey, yes, we know we're making an album, but we're not done with this album until we diss this chick. And he like, yo, that was back in 1980s. So it also goes back to what I was saying earlier. It's like they're friends. They're cool. You're like, hey man, come on, man. That shit happened back then. Why are we doing this? He's like, nah, hit the beat. And so the mere fact that you had shit like that, and crucial to have a story rhyme back then.
Got to. Particularly if you have a classic. Well, by not by industry standards, but that was something that you did.
I mean, yeah, if you think about it, what did we do? Nations a Million had Black Still in the Hour. This had Jane. Fucking even Light as a Rock had the dude that she couldn't figure out he was on crack. You had The Great Adventures of Slick Rick. You had he's had a rap with Paris to Understand. You had Nobody Move on Easy Does It.
Slick Rick.
Yeah.
The Great Adventures. I mean,
you had to have a story. Hickey's Around My Neck on the audio too. This is all 1988. So Cracked Out was Masters of Ceremony on the Dynamite album. Times Is Getting Ill on It Takes Two by Rob Bass and DJ Easy Rock. Born to Be Wild MC Shan had Project Ho. Yep. So I don't know why I know all these things off the top of my head. Please don't pay me no attention.
He's taking me back too, because some of these titles I heard in a minute.
But yeah, so you had to have a dope story rhyme back then. Man.
It was a staple. It was a staple of your album.
Swas, Posse on Broadway, Sir Mix-a-Lot. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like I think this was the perfect way to end the album. And again, it's 45 minutes, and the thing that it's kind of weird, E, because like I remember having the tape and listening to the tape because you had A side and a B side. Having the tape made it seem like it was much shorter. Now having
because you flipped that joint like 5 minutes. You're like, I only heard like 3 songs. Why am I flipping?
Yeah, you got to flip the tape. Yeah. But I love this album, man. This album again, one of the 88 staples, one of the best albums from 1988. I don't think that's up for debate. Where you want to rank it, and who knows, maybe me and E will come back at the end of this calendar year and rank the 88 albums. That'll be interesting. So I got to ask you, man, before we get out of here, Source Magazine gave this 5 mics, the vaunted 5 mics. And the Source Magazine, when they gave this album 5 mics, it wasn't when they were handing out 5 mics. Like you had to do some special shit to get a 5 mic rating in the Source magazine. And that's how they deemed this album. So I got to ask you, man, what would you have given this album in 1988? And what do you give this album in 2023?
I am trying to be as honest as possible. 88. I'm giving it 5. I'm giving a big fat fiver. 2023, 5. 50, 55. How we living? We've been living here.
Now, and this is probably EPMD is probably his second favorite hip hop group, correct?
No, this is my favorite hip hop.
Okay. So you got them over De La.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I would. I gotta go with you, man. I mean, I damn sure gave it 5 back then. And
because just going through it right now, and I'm like, man, if the worst thing I can say is, man, DJ Caleb Boss in the cut.
It.
I mean, there's nothing. If they didn't have that particular track on here, I would say this album was flawless. And I don't even consider DJ Caleb Boss on the cut a flaw. It's just they're not rhyming on it.
Yeah.
It's not an EPMD song. Every song that's an EPMD song on this album is incredible.
And you think about it like this too, E. If you don't have Caleb Boss's song on here, it's only 9 tracks.
It's Illmatic.
And so now
it's group Illmatic.
Exactly. And then you have 5 on one side, 4 on the other. Because even Illmatic had the intro, which made it the Genesis. Well, it's called Genesis, but that made it 10 tracks technically.
Exactly.
So you have 5 on side A, 5 on side B.
Yeah.
So I think
it's group Illmatic.
Exactly. So I think, even if they don't add Caleb Boss on the cut, I mean, you got an uneven number. I'm pretty sure the label wouldn't have done that. But yeah, I'm not. It's 5 mics all the way across the board for me, man. I love this album. Everybody listening to this podcast, if you haven't heard this album, do yourself a favor at the end of this podcast, go listen to it. It is an incredible listen. Again, 35 years later, it's hard to believe Strictly Business is 35 years old. Before we get out of here, E, man, tell folks where they can find you, where they can find your social, where they can listen to your podcasts.
You can find me in Cold Wild in Long Island. On the socials on Twitter and Instagram at Eclectik if you want to see some outfits. That's
all he's gonna show is outfits.
That's all you get.
Mr. Kith.
Hey, listen.
I can't even afford Kith. I can afford K.
Eclectik, aka Kith Sweat. What's up? Yeah, so socials, Eclectik Podcast, and that's ECLECTIK. So it's Eclectik. Yeah, that's right. Eclectik Podcast at Eclectik, Encyclopedia for the Hip Hop Podcast, and the Eclectik Podcast is for the Eclectik Discussion Podcast. You can go and listen. If you enjoy me, you can go back and listen from episode 1, Did Mary J. Blige Kill R&B? Featuring a very young 12 Cal.
Yes.
But you can go and listen to that, and you can listen to me talk to Kwame. You can listen to me talk to Spinderella. You can listen to me talk about high school. You can listen to me talk about college, where somebody, Grambling State University showed up.
This guy.
Hey, if you enjoy me, you can listen to everything because they're evergreen. I don't do any topical slopicals. So it's all about good times, good vibes of the 80s and the 90s, some late 70s, back when Kyle was 30. So come check me out.
No doubt. Yeah, check him out, man. You listen to his podcast. both of his podcasts, you'll see me pop up on quite a few, just like he's on more than a few over here. You've been listening this long, you definitely know you can catch the 12 Kyle podcast anywhere you find podcasts. Remember, the podcast drops every Thursday at midnight. From time to time, we drop bonus episodes on Sundays. Be sure to subscribe. There's a YouTube channel, 12 Kyle Podcast on YouTube. Subscribe over there as well, because we do have video content on there as well. If you feel so inclined, hit us up on Cash App, $TWELVEKYLE. That's going to do it for us. For my man Eclectik, I am your boy 12 Kyle. We've talked about strictly business 35. Damn, it's still crazy to believe. 35 years later, right here on the 12 Kyle podcast. So for my boy Eclectik, I am your boy 12 Kyle. We'll catch you guys next time. 5 G's.